Hello, welcome to another episode of the FANMEN podcast. I'm DJ Gove.
Chris Davis.
Sean Hogarty.
How's everyone doing?
Fabulous.
Doing well, sir.
Excellent. So last time we recorded, we went dip into 80s movies quite a bit because it was a slow news week, and we had a lot of fun. And Sean wanted to kind of stick in the same decade, but swing it back over towards the music side of things.
It's not like Sean misses his 20s.
I'm still in my 20s, Chris. Mentally.
So I'm going to give the floor to Sean and to kick this thing off.
Okay.
And how you want to handle this music talk there?
Well, as we kind of discussed previously, we're big fans of the 80s. I'm definitely a massive 80s music fan for a zillion different reasons. And so I just wanted to talk about 80s music, you know, the types of things we liked, but also really focusing on where and how and when you listen to music. Like, music was a huge deal for me, but you know, what was it for you guys?
And music was really, even before the comics and everything else, music was my first collection. That was the thing. It was, you know, when other kids were asking for Transformers or whatever it was, the first CD player. Like, that's all I wanted for Christmas one year. And it was a Magnavox single disc. Probably cost my parents like $200 back then or whatever. When you're still buying CDs in the long boxes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that was it. It was, I can still tell you the setup. It's my father's old Pioneer, like wood grain.
Oh yeah.
Turntable / receiver. That was jacked into in a pair of old speakers. And it slowly, I was never the audiophile that you were, but that became building a rack system.
Yes.
Going from that to, oh my God, when I graduated junior high and got my own receiver, got to pick my own, and bought a, Leachmere's was still around. We could go buy components. So getting a dual cassette deck and things like that, it's building that out.
Yeah.
So it was, I was always a big music person. It was mainly, there really wasn't like, there was no TV in the bedroom or anything like that. So when we came home and doing homework or whatever, there was always some music on.
Yeah. What did you listen?
So it's a little different for me, obviously, just because of the age gap.
Yeah.
So,
Fisher Price tape deck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So he was putting Metallica in the Teddy Ruxpin.
Peter Palmer. Yeah. I did that once with, I think I did it with Justice for All.
Nice.
So, for me, it was more obviously MTV.
Yeah.
That was big. That was, you know, for everyone in my age bracket. Both my stepfather and my uncle were huge classic rock guys.
Okay.
So I got started off with that. Parents got divorced when I was like 5. And my mother started dating my stepdad when I was 7, I think. So from that age on, I kind of got introduced to it that way. And then also, we said, you know, being raised by television for the most part, I was really into the songs I could tie to memories of movies or TV shows or something like that.
Sure.
And then obviously the MTV stuff, it was, you know, whatever was an eye-popping video would catch your eye, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think when I was like 7, I started actually asking for music. Like, I wanted to own it, not just the TV or the radio.
Right.
I found out, oh wait, I can control what I listen to.
Oh yeah.
So as weird as all things, like, it's still probably one of my favorite albums. The first record I ever asked for, it was a vinyl, was Color by Number by Culture Club.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm a big Culture Club guy. Don't ask.
Really? I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's one I didn't find until later.
I was singing "Do You Really Want to Hurt Me" in the car this morning. Acapella. It wasn't on the radio. I don't know where it came from.
You just busted out?
Yeah, I just busted it out. So
I can't. You know, it's funny. Like, side note.
You heard about the reunion, right?
No.
They were in Worcester last year.
They're back together recording new music.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they come back next time they come back around. They come back to Worcester again. They were at the Hanover.
I don't know if I'm a big enough fan to go see them, but
Good stuff.
I can't deny the appeal.
Lineup.
Nice.
So it was that, and I got Thriller, obviously, because every kid had Thriller. So
Oh, of course.
even though I hate the song Thriller.
Yeah. So
you want to go into
in
that?
short, why?
Yeah.
do you
Okay,
hate
so
the song?
if you listen to our Halloween episode, you realize that DJ is a tiny little bitch when it comes to anything scary. The one thing I'm scared of more than anything in the world is zombies.
Interesting.
When that video would come on, I would run and hide in the closet, fingers in the ears.
You were pretty young, so
I was pretty young. To the point where now,
That would have been,
like,
what, 84?
Yes,
Yeah,
so the
somewhere
video would be
around
on. The video was always on because it was the most expensive video at the time, probably still is, and it was like this masterpiece thing. So I'm like 5 years old, and it just freaked me out. And it's like this like trigger thing. I have like non-flashbacks when I hear the start of the song now. No offense to anyone who's actually in Nam, I apologize, but it's just one way to describe
we understand.
it. Yeah. To the point where I was at work. I think I told you I was at work, last month, and one of the doctors had it on her speaker before the site opened, and I was like, "Excuse me, can you please turn that off?" And she's like, "Okay, can I listen?" I was like, "Yeah, no, I hate that song. Please turn it off." Even like when I remember, we talked about I used to watch Glee.
Yeah.
When the Glee did throw her, nope, fast forward.
Wow.
Just can't do it.
Those are the most harmless white kids you could ever find.
I know.
Yeah.
I just can't do that song. Every other Michael Jackson song, I'm all over. I love Michael Jackson.
But that for me nails this time period and kind of anchors how much younger you are, because the only reason that can be is because of the age you were when it hit you, because that was when that came out, it was a huge deal in the early days.
I remember
of
the
music
big release.
video.
They would hype the Michael Jackson video releases, and
it was like 20 minutes long. The original
it had a
presentation
behind the scenes
of it.
making of.
And I know it gets silly. I know they start dancing and all that shit, but I never even made it to the dancing part.
Really?
Yeah, I never. Like, as soon as they start crawling on the ground, I fucking tapped. I was done. Yeah, it's like, it's just like a weird, like, traumatic thing. I just can't do it. But anything else Michael Jackson, especially from the the 80s period, I'm all over. Okay. I love Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, everything else is a big part of me growing up.
I was trying to think back through it, and the things that stick out to me, the early 80s were the beginning of me realizing I wanted to play synthesizers, do electronic music, get into studio stuff. And a lot of that started with Van Halen of all things.
1984
Jump.
album, yeah.
Yeah, 1984, Jump. That, not as background accompaniment or mixed in, but flat out. I mean, that song is more than anything an Oberheim OB8 brass patch played by Eddie Van Halen, just this big, fat, buzzy,
So
thing.
Is the synthesizer the ba, ba?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ba,
Yeah.
That's,
I mean, it's
backbone.
So I taught myself to play piano. I played Heart and Soul from kindergarten or whatever, and had goofed
I couldn't
around.
keep myself to spell piano.
Yeah, and I had taken various music instruments in 3rd and 4th grade or whatever. But the album 1984 came out when I think I was in 6th grade in Virginia, and so it was 83, I guess, when it actually released. But that song, I immediately went out, got the sheet music, and to this day I can still pretty much play the entire thing front to back, the solo and all that stuff, and it literally pushed me into what was a big piece of my life for a while, was just those sounds. And in 7th grade, I went to Alabama, crappy place to be into music, but the music teacher had an ARP Odyssey analog synth, and he'd play it while we played band music and made all kinds of cool stuff. And I think within a year or so, I had my first synth. I saved up some ridiculous amount of money and ordered it, and went from there. But that everything about the synthesizer growth in the 80s across many different genres, right? I mean, it and then the new wave, stuff coming from the UK and Depeche Mode and OMD and New Order and lots of different flavors of this, Erasure, Yaz. That was everything to me. And not only was that all stuff I listened to, it was stuff I played.
Now, it's an interesting breakdown on the age gap and just the separation between the three of us, where that's what kicked you off into wanting to play music.
Yeah.
I was just enough knowing you. That was the first album I ever bought.
Oh, yeah?
Myself. That's the first one I spent my own money on.
Nice.
Went to the store and grabbed. But so I was just limping into that as a fan.
Yeah.
It's the desire to pick up an instrument didn't come until much later, until somebody introduced me to Cream, Eric and the Dominoes.
Yep.
It's Clapton was
Sure.
big. And when you watch him play, I think you alluded to Clapton on another episode, it looks like you don't understand how hard that is.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not like watching Via Malmsteen or any of these guys that just shred it.
It looks
just
just effortless when he
It
does.
looks,
The fingers
it
are just
doesn't
tickling.
look like
Yeah.
Yep.
his
He doesn't
hands
even break a
move.
sweat most of the time.
Yeah.
So those were the things. Like that was my gateway to music that I was finally finding on my own.
Yeah.
Like the first thing that somebody didn't present to me to listen to.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up, I don't know how you were so much young. Were there older kids DJ around you that were giving you music to listen to?
Not really. So, like, all my friends were about my age. I have one friend who had a slightly older brother, a couple years, but nothing major. I had no older cousins. I was like the oldest. Well, actually, I take it back. On my father's side, I do have my one cousin who's a little bit older, but nothing musically. I didn't have I wasn't like 8 years old with like that 15-year-old cousin that was like, oh, here's a Van Halen album. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
I was always the youngest in my neighborhood. There was a lot of kids around, but everybody, the next closest to me was probably Pete. He was like 3 years older. And then he had older siblings.
Yeah.
So it was introducing me to like Sabbath,
Yeah.
Ozzy solo stuff. So Randy Rhoads,
Yeah.
those kind of things. But it wasn't until Van Halen, and it ties back into your MTV comment too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when that album dropped, they blew up. They were
Yeah.
huge before, but
David
now
Lee Roth was made
everybody
for MTV.
knew it.
Yeah.
Top 40 radio. I mean, the
Yep.
whole thing.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, because I had no like musical influence like from peers or anything like that. I always wanted to play instruments. I always wanted to play when I was younger. I wanted to learn how to play guitar or drum. I didn't have the rhythm for drums. I don't think I still naturally don't. Tried to play saxophone for a little bit in school. I loved it, but it's just one of the things like we just couldn't swing it financially. There was 4 of us, and so we didn't have the money for lessons or to keep renting the instruments, et cetera, et cetera. So I never got to do that. So I fell off of that. But like I said, I used to watch a lot of TV. So I have my 80s music love. It zigzags in and out of everything.
yeah.
Everything. So like one of the biggest things from the 80s is probably my favorite band of all time is Journey.
Oh, yeah.
So you had all the great Journey songs, Def Leppard, Styx, Speedwagon, all that stuff. I've seen Journey, Styx, and Speedwagon like 4 times in concert.
Nice.
Yeah. But then again,
that
on the
makes
other-
me think of Night Ranger. I haven't thought about
Night Ranger.
Sister
Night
Chris-
Ranger.
That video was on a ton when you and I were growing
Yeah.
up.
Which one? Sister Christian? Yeah.
Just
Again, that I learned to play Sister Christian note for note, and what was the other? They also had some great Rumors in the Air. Had a fantastic synth, thing through it.
That's funny. I could probably still play the intro to Sister Christian. There's little bits of music that drive you. Clapton may have planted the bug, but it was Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
It was
Oh yeah.
the first time you heard the intro to Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah.
It's like, I need a Les Paul and I need it now.
Yeah.
Appetite that was 88.
Yeah.
87, it popped in 88.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, see, I
was-
love that one too.
That's the last of your great, actual rock bands. That was right
Yeah.
before grunge came in,
Yep.
before Nirvana, Soundgarden,
Yep.
all that.
I also was I started to pick up into the metal scene towards the end of the 80s when I was a little bit older, and got real into Metallica.
Was that the Black Album in that?
No,
period, or
that's
was
in the
that
90s.
later? Okay.
89
early
was
90s.
Injustice for All.
Okay.
So you had
Yeah.
Kill 'Em All was before that.
Yep.
Ride the Lightning.
Master of Puppets,
Yeah. See, I didn't listen to.
Garage Days.
I didn't listen
That's-
to.
Didn't know what that
any
was
of
for a
I
while.
was
I
going to
took
say
a lot-
you were too young when Garage Days came.
Yeah, yeah. So there was all the Metallica. I started getting into the Metallica stuff, but I just like I said, I can go everywhere from if you open my CD book that I still have, and you went from just if you just went the 80s stuff. Like I said, I got Journey, I got Styx, I got Metallica, I got Whitney Houston, I got some stuff I'm going to mention in my top 3. We get down to it later on. Then you have all we talked about the movie soundtracks and stuff like that, and all the movie songs, and that was a huge part of it too. Like I said, the biggest thing for me is the 80s had a ton of great music, but I really gravitated towards the stuff that was in movies and in TV.
Yeah.
Even if it's something that was popular, but they use it in a TV show.
Well, the soundtracks make you think of the movie itself.
Exactly.
It kind of naturally brings you back to those memories.
Yeah, and I don't like to live in the real world. I like to live in the movie world. So
It's way more fun.
yeah, exactly.
So, what you were just talking about reminded me. I just pulled up a picture that I haven't looked at in a while, but it's a snapshot of a piece of time around the high school time frame. You talked about your CD book.
Mm-hmm.
So I was buying CDs very, very early on. I remember one Christmas, it was probably, 86, maybe 87. I got a JBL, boom box with a CD player on the top
Oh,
of
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's
And
you were big pimping.
I bought a bunch of, I even drove half an hour out of town once I had a car to Davis, California, because there was an import CD store there, still all long boxes, but I could get like the 12-inch, quote unquote, 12-inch maxi CDs imported from Europe with, you know, special mixes of Depeche Mode and New Order and, you know, and other stuff. I built all kinds of stuff.
I remember the first time I got Queen's Greatest Hits. Long before Wayne's World brought Queen back into popular vernacular, you had to import those things. They weren't selling them over here.
But what I was going to bring up is this picture is I have my old tape case, my 2-sided silver cassette tape case still full of stuff. And a while back I found it in the garage and took a picture of it. So I'll show you this picture, but this is untouched. I have, these are cassettes, right? So I'm reading the spines of the cassettes. And my cassettes. Asia Alpha, Billy Ocean, Suddenly, Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack, The Cars, Greatest Hits.
Ooh, good band.
Chicago 16, which is Stay the Night and Hard to Say I'm Sorry and all that stuff. Club Nouveau, Life, Love, and Pain, right? Phil Collins, No Jacket Required.
One of my favorites.
Catching Up with Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode, Speak and Spell. Till Tuesday, Welcome Home.
Voices Carry was amazing.
Yeah. Madonna, True Blue, and Like a Virgin. Chuck Mangione, 70 Miles Young.
Mangione.
Yeah, so that's the Feel So Good album. I was a trumpet player back then.
There you go.
Hooters, Nervous Night. Howard Jones, Herbie Hancock, Men at Work. Europe, The Final Countdown.
Hell yes. You had to have that.
I like Men at Work. I love Men at Work.
Dire Straits.
Is it Men at Work?
Money for
Colin Hayes?
Colin Hayes, yes.
Yeah.
Who is still his continued solo work, a lot of acoustic
was
stuff.
Europe's other big song? Carrie?
Yes.
Yeah. Carrie, I could play that one too. Back to the Future, Yes, 90125.
Yes.
That was the merge of synthesizers, big production by Trevor Horn, I believe, but also MTV music videos, all that stuff. Van Halen, Miami Vice, the TV soundtrack. Jan Hammer, one of the first guys to play synthesizers through distortion, through guitar amps. So if you listen to the guitar, the Miami Vice soundtrack, it sounds like guitars, but it's not guitars.
I think I have that on vinyl somewhere.
You probably do.
I probably do.
Lionel Richie is also.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Lionel Richie was huge in that. That was more my parents.
Yeah.
I never got into him.
I mean, they watch, so REO Speedwagon, Foreigner, but this is when every band was dropping that one ballad.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like mandatory. The label requested it.
Oh, yeah.
But that was also the gateway to Lionel Richie and a lot of that stuff as well.
Of course, I was an unabashed ballad, soft rock.
Oh, of course.
I still am.
Yeah.
I still am. Give me the cheesy, sappy stuff.
I think that's my grandmother's fault. I used to travel with them a lot. We drive around. They always had a big Cadillac, and we, drive around places. And she would be listening to 70s soft rock, like I've been to paradise, but I've never been to me. I'll never fall in love again. And just really cheesy stuff.
Yeah, cutting my teeth in music. There was a constant push pull. Like my parents were very much top 40 rock, where hanging out with everybody in the neighborhood and stuff like that. That's what was getting. I mean, Sabbath and Ozzy were the gateway into all of the hair bands that were to follow.
Yep.
So your Motley Crue's, L.A. Gun, Poison, Rat, Quiet Riot,
Cinderella.
Quiet Riot and Twisted Sister were huge at the same time.
Oh yeah, they were.
So that's one of the things I was curious about with you two in particular, because we were West Coast, East Coast at this point, right? So I'm not surprised by your experience at this time. I mean, there was a lot of overlap in metal and hair bands, but there's also a lot of what you're talking about I didn't get to. Black Sabbath and Ozzy, I didn't get to that till much later in college when I ran into guys.
Because you were so caught up in the West Coast stuff.
Yeah. It was all new wave synth goth. At least for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have found it if it wasn't for having the older friends with older siblings. So they were listening to it when it was popular.
Yeah,
and kind of handed it down.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had I don't even remember. I think I first heard Depeche Mode, which was a big gateway thing for me then, from a girlfriend at the time who was, of course, kind of goth, but not in a way that you would think of it now. But, there was a song, Blasphemous Rumors, on an album in 1984, Some Great Reward, I think it was 84. And, it's very, very dark and girl.
She didn't also happen to be a fan of like Morrissey and The Cure.
The Cure.
Definitely. I was a huge Cure fan. This was a gateway into that.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was asking. They kind of tie together.
She was really dark and kind of, suicidal and stuff. We went through a lot of interesting things in those days. Very self-important teenagers. But when I heard that song, I heard samples for one of the first times where a lot of that song is like medical breathing sounds, played rhythmically, different, more than just musical electronic stuff, but rhythmic or sonic soundscape type stuff.
It's funny when you get into that stuff. So like Depeche Mode and The Cure, I didn't really know about them until the 90s.
Yeah.
So like for me, like the first Cure song I was exposed to was Friday I'm in Love, which is not your typical Cure song.
So I was thinking that's actually a later album than what's the album that has Fascination Street on it? It's
I don't know.
Oh, I couldn't.
Good. Not Destruction. Damn it. It's Disintegration.
Disintegration, yes.
Right. So Friday I'm in Love is like
the one after, like 92 or 93.
Yeah.
Same thing with like so Depeche Mode. What's the one from the 90s? Is it Listen
so
to
Black
Silence or whatever?
Celebration. Enjoy the Silence.
Enjoy
that was Violator. That was actually like 90, 91,
okay.
I think.
That's when I first heard of them too. So there's a lot of the 80s bands that probably because like they were, meant for like the the younger, like the teenage generation. I just didn't understand the music. Like Duran Duran too. I got into Duran Duran.
I love Duran Duran.
I didn't get into Duran Duran until I was older and I heard Ordinary World in the 90s and then I went back.
Oh my God.
So Ordinary World is a fantastic Duran Duran song that harkened back to a lot of their best.
Yeah, so I went back in and I have 80s on 8 preset on my Sirius and I listen to it all the time and they're always on there. So I continued to, the cool thing about it is like because I mean half the 80s stuff was just all like flash and just nonsense and all that, but there was a lot of it with a ton of purpose to it that at 9 years old you don't understand.
Yeah.
So you go back and you find it again. So which is why I think I have such like a large spectrum. I have like poppy songs that I like because I remember being a little kid and jumped around to the video and lip syncing to it, buying the tapes or whatever, listening to on the radio.
Definitely songs.
And you go back and you find the other stuff.
Videos,
yeah. Then there's like, some of the ones that kind of like lingered into the 90s. You go back and you catch again. Or then there's like new stuff too that you don't remember. Like I don't remember ever listening to like Sunglasses at Night when I was a kid.
Oh, jeez.
But I'll go back. I love that. I love
yeah.
that song now, So stuff like that.
That's that.
That was in the wheelhouse. We were making fun of that when I was.
Yeah, that's such a good song.
There's so much good music in the 80s. Like, I mean, if you went, you going to have 400 songs from the 80s. You probably couldn't fit all the good ones in 400 songs.
So I amassed a collection over the years. I stopped doing it, but I used to actually make sure I had the top 100 Billboard hits for the year of every year, going back to about 1942.
You
basically,
do some searching, you can find it.
Yeah, no, I still have everything from basically 1942. There's not 100 hits in the 40s, but
we need to talk.
Yeah, but I have all of that up. I think I stopped maybe in 2003 or 4 because it was most of them were not actually to my liking, and I kind of got stuck in the old stuff.
They shut down Napster, getting it for free.
Napster's for amateurs.
Later.
No, I had to buy the right
it was
albums.
All 0
it was
sites at that point.
But the end result is I have the top 1,000 songs of the 80s that I've listened to.
So coming to your house with a hard
drive. Oh, it's so you listen to the bottom 50 of each year and you're in a sweet, sweet spot. And you hear the shift in pop. There's a lot of more one-hit wonders, but there's also a lot more of that. I know, it's a wonderful mix.
Yeah. There shouldn't be a ton of one-hit wonders in the 80s. A bunch of people did one-and-dones.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of bands, too, that are still going strong.
Or going. Yeah.
Well, man, it's not strong. I mean, they're not winning Grammys.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, you can still, I saw Styx this past summer again.
So
Aerosmith has a residency in Vegas.
So Styx, is Dennis DeYoung?
He is not. He's gone.
Right.
But they have a new guy.
Is Tommy Shaw?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Dennis DeYoung, I think, left a long time ago. They had a falling out. But I've seen Styx 4 times. I've also seen
Yeah.
Dennis DeYoung by himself 3 times.
Really?
Yeah, because he always plays. He's always at the Epcot Food and Wine Festival, the Eat to the Beat.
Oh, okay.
So it's nice. So like it's always at night. So you're walking around Epcot and you're half hammered, and it's the pavilion amphitheater near the American Pavilion, which is right next to Japan.
Yeah.
Every time he's there, I go grab a frozen beer from Japan and sit down and listen to Dennis
Nice.
DeYoung all night. It's good stuff.
Last time we were there was Air Supply.
Oh, Air Supply.
So
And the groupies came out of the woodwork.
I had the Air Supply album. What was the song?
All Out of Love?
All Out of Love. Yeah, I had the vinyl All Out of Love album with the hot air balloon on the front of it. And what was it Russell Hitchcock and I can't remember the other guy's name. The guy who sings like his balls are in a vice for the last last century.
There's a lot of those guys in that decade.
I don't know how he sang.
There's a lot of those. Yeah, there's just so much good stuff. Like I said, we talked before. I went to Phil Collins finally.
Yeah.
Like I said, my last couple concerts have been like all 80s stuff. It was Styx, it was Phil Collins. Went to Elton John a while ago. I know he started 70s, but he had all stuff in the 80s. We went and saw Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Nice.
That was awesome. Saw the Cult. All these like 80s bands and stuff like that. So it's like
I went to my wife went with me. We saw Howard Jones, Midyear, Tom Bailey, who was Thompson Twins.
Okay, yeah. I like them too.
Yeah.
That wasn't that long ago, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was relatively recent. It's probably like 5 years ago. But I still love those guys.
I try to hop on every 80s band I can.
Yeah.
I don't go see Journey anymore. Nothing against the new singer kid they got, the Filipino kid. I liked, obviously Steve Perry is the best, but the guy after Steve Perry who sounded just like Steve Perry, so you could still, it still sounded like a Journey song.
Yeah.
I forget his name. He had a curly hair. They called him Steve Perry with a perm because he had a curly hair like Kenny G.
Steve Perry with a perm.
But actually, Steve Perry, I think he has a new album coming out.
It's already dropped.
Did it drop?
Pretty good.
I like Steve Perry. I don't know. The Journey.
One of the great one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
I think you can still count that, even though he was part of Journey.
Yeah.
What?
You bringing up Styx reminds me of, I think, was Kilroy Was Here? Was that an 80s album?
I think
or
so.
was that
Check the Google machine.
90? Yeah, check that out because that's they're, again, I'm all over synthesizer, electronic, within broad musical context. And that album
It is funny how that
awesome.
kind of breaks. So you being on the West Coast, falling into that,
Yep.
which, and me growing up over here, roughly the same time period,
Yeah.
but it's all West Coast hair bands that were
Oh, yeah.
falling out here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what popped big around it.
I don't know how much.
83.
Okay. So, yeah, my sense of time is pretty bad. I don't know how much of that difference that we're seeing is because I was into the electronic and production
Yeah, you
aspects
had already
of it
kind of
versus,
gotten
so,
there. Where,
but certainly there was more groups. I mean, I was not alone in Northern California
I'm the early
being
teen
into
that
that. Yeah.
just wishes he could get to Sunset
Yeah.
and go to the Rainbow and any of
Yeah.
those.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything was happening there.
Yep.
See, I didn't understand any of that shit till it was all well and gone. So
Well, that's the wonderful
That's-
thing of,
I just like catchy tunes,
So-
man.
Question for you was, what's the first band? And I got this theory that whatever band you first discover,
yeah.
like on your own, the one you come to and just fall in love with, be it
Yeah.
you saw a video, you heard the song on the radio, whatever it was, you're going to follow that group around forever and you're going to listen to that music forever. It's the old Chris Rock theory. You ever hear the stand-up thing?
Mm-mm.
Whatever music you were listening to when you started having sex, you're going to love that forever. So he's always going to have a soft
Yeah.
spot in his heart for Grandmaster Flash, It's so, I mean, I know mine, so I'm kind of curious as to what.
I actually don't know. I mean, maybe Depeche Mode counts, but that was, I didn't discover that. There are some.
It could be you and your friends, like that first.
Yeah.
Meets Metallica.
I mean, I learned about the Talking Heads from a friend in high school. Actually, he played bass with me and Jimmy Barnes. In fact, I don't remember who introduced who to whom, but I remember Tim telling me, getting me into listening to Talking Heads more than I was, and I don't know. Everybody's, I got exposed to ska by playing with some guys in high school that were, kind of like flock of seagulls hair type of guys, but they were
Are there
more,
any of those that you still follow to this day? If they came around, you'd...
I mean, I don't like going to concerts. They're too loud. My ears are...
Was it like what if it's like a small place? Like a small kind of like House of Blues or something.
So I was really lucky in the mid 90s. I worked for a small startup and listened to a lot of radio during the day and got really good at calling during this one particular DJ, I think Nick Carter, maybe ZLX. And I don't know whether it was his timing or me figuring out, but they were doing this summer series of concerts at Fort Apache, which is a small studio on Mass Ave so Mass Ave, Somerville, I guess, technically. And I got tickets to every little showing for an entire summer. So every week I went there at it was Thursday at noon to see a band, and it was the guys with Name and Black Iris and damn it, I'm forgetting. You know the names. So, but just saw some great bands in a teeny little room with 20 people and these guys on the stage, playing. I don't know. Some of the times I got the feeling that they were a little bit like, why are we doing this? Playing our hits for 20 people. But it was fantastic for me. Mazzy Star.
Okay.
Well, I like Mazzy Star.
I think they were one of them. And but I don't remember, I think I saw the Bosstones when they were, little.
That used to be fun. They'd play the Paradise. They'd play a lot of the small places.
I played the Paradise. I played the Middle East downstairs.
Right.
Yeah,
Middle East.
We'll talk sometime
Sounds
about my band days.
I didn't do shit.
Yeah.
So you said for you it was Metallica?
Probably Metallica. we found out Metallica. Like I said, we had no older friends we ran with, but we found Metallica, and the last couple albums, especially the last one, I did not care for at all. But when anything older comes on, I still crank it up. And I didn't go this year when they came to Gillette because it's just bad timing. But I've seen them a bunch of times live. They came to Hawaii when I was in high school, and we went to all 3 nights of shows.
Nice.
It's like Metallica and Monster Magnet.
Monster
Magnet.
No, you talking.
But
that wasn't the tour with Van Halen, was it?
No. So this is back in 98 or something like that, 99. But yeah, they're one of those bands still. It's and the Metallica is a thing too. It's like a cult and all that stuff. But it's really any of that stuff. Like I said, I've gone to Phil Collins and Elton John, and I've seen Journey a bunch of times. And
doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Metallica is getting their own pop figure, right?
Which they are? Oh,
and Justice for All.
Yeah,
they're doing.
I've never seen that one. Oh yeah, I have. It's on my desk at work and my desk at home. I have 3 of them. I had to buy it. It was too good.
Yeah, exactly.
It was the Lady Justice from the album cover. But yeah, so it's just.
I was never a huge Metallica fan, not really my thing, but I do remember the Black Album and the videos for, Sandman and One.
Yeah,
One wasn't on that album, was it?
One was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
That was But
I love the technical. I love the production. I love the music.
Yeah, they're good musicians.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're very good.
Did you ever listen to Dream Theater?
Yeah.
We're off the topic of 80s, but
Dream Theater, most definitely.
No.
The Dream Theater had who's the guitarist? Petrocelli?
Maybe, yeah. I don't remember the name.
Unbelievable.
Guitar player. Same little startup that I worked at. One of my roommates at that time, who we worked together there, got me into it, and I listened to every album and talk about technical musicianship and stuff like that. Just insane.
I didn't get into the technical stuff. I mean, I got into some of the guitar gods after your Malmsteens and Satriani and Vi and those guys. Answer the question that I asked you guys. I think I was going to go off on, as soon as you started talking.
Yeah, sorry.
I was going to go off on an entirely different tangent there. We can save that one for. We can talk about synth and guitar players some other episode.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's always going to be Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
That was the sweet spot. I was 13, 14 years old. It's that first time you're not listening to whatever your parents were listening to. You break away.
Yeah.
Popped on MTV, and it went from nobody knew who the hell they were, and they were everywhere all at once. And then it flamed out. It was much like some of the old 70s rock bands. by 92, this thing was over.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's true because like same like Metallica. Metallica was like the heavy metal guys in the late 80s. However, they were not on MTV. They weren't in your face. Guns N' Roses came out like that LA kind of scene. With
they were the last.
They were like not. The hair said glam metal band, but they weren't. They were a hard rock metal band.
They were more 70s rock.
And then Appetite for Destruction blew up, and they went to the Use Your Illusion albums, which were phenomenal in the '90s. And then Axl Rose turned into a prick, and I guess he always was one, but then they kind of flamed out.
See, this is the age gap here.
Yeah,
Use Your Illusion albums were great. They were okay.
They were good.
They were okay.
Well, remember, we just watched MTV. I mean, we'll get in one day we'll start talking '90s.
Yeah,
the videos were great, but
yeah,
I'm saying, but that was like their arc. They blew up, and it was like
and it ended with a whimper.
Yeah, but they got on TV. Like they blew up because you would see the video for Welcome to the Jungle or later on Paradise City in the middle of the day. Metallica videos were only on like Headbangers Ball. Guns N' Roses
a lot of you look at your top 100 list, like top 100 albums of all time. And there's many people that will still say that's one of the top 4 or 5 rock albums of all time.
Oh yeah, oh definitely.
It just soup to nuts. It's the last. I think it's the last album from a band of that kind that actually had like that 70s feel to it.
Yeah,
it felt like a rock album.
I still have flashbacks of Welcome to the Jungle when I went to field training in.
It was one of those riffs, like you remember the first time you heard the song.
Well, no, I'd heard it before, but then it's what they woke us up with, at 5 a.m. on the first day of field, or the first morning that we were there. Down the halls of the barracks was. Yeah,
it was loud as.
So when you go into my alarm clock on my phone, it's still Guns N' Roses tracks that wake me up to this day.
Nice.
Every single time.
That explains a lot, Chris.
And they're still the one band, like I have friends, and if Mark's listening to this, he knows exactly who he is. That was that one band I followed through all incarnations when half of them busted away and went to Velvet Revolver.
Yeah, I like Velvet Revolver.
Which is still probably the best concert I saw in one of those smaller venues. When before the first album dropped, they played the House of Blues for like $25.
Yeah, they were good.
To see them in this little hole in the wall, and you and I've been there together. It's tiny.
Was that Duff McKagan and Slash, or
you had Duff, Slash, and Matt Sorum on drums? So the second drummer. You had Scott singing, which I mean, and it worked well for a couple albums.
I did
until everybody else got clean and Scott went Scott and did what he does.
Which Scott?
Weiland. Not 80s.
I didn't. I actually.
He was the lead singer of that.
I didn't
go back
know
and listen
that.
to those albums.
I mean, I was a big Stone Temple Pilots fan. That was before Stone Temple Pilots, right?
No, it was after.
It was after.
It was after he
they
left
kicked him out.
I totally.
They kicked him out of STP. Which, by the way, side note, the new guy they have singing for STP, I can't remember his name. I saw them this summer. It was them. Yeah, it was STP, Bush, and the Cult. I went to
Bush.
Yeah,
I loved Bush.
The guy came and I was like, STP, this is going to be interesting. He sounds just enough like Scott Weiland to make you realize you're listening to an STP song. But still have like a different spin on it. He's really good. So they're worth seeing live now. But
interesting.
So we did some 80s music talk. So we decided to, one thing we didn't really cover a whole lot of in the discussion was probably something 80s music's most famous for is the one-hit wonders. So these are songs by bands who had one song that charted, top 100 and then just fell off a cliff and you never heard from again. So let's do one-hit wonders.
All right.
So this is a good place to go.
So this is something where I know if I spent more time looking into it, I'd probably have completely different songs.
Same here.
But I got a few honorable mentions that I'll throw out there. Pac-Man Fever, Buckner and Garcia. I had that cassette with all the songs on it, Centipede and Berserk, and I mean they managed to make songs out of
Atari
Donkey Kong was pretty impressive, and then I actually sometime in the last 15 years, they released an autographed remastered CD on Kickstarter. So I forget
Wow.
where I got it, but so I rebought it because I love it so much. So Pac-Man Fever. Remember Aldo Nova Fantasy? That I never would have heard, but for somehow working a charity car wash in Alabama with some kids that I would have otherwise never hung out with, and one of them had an Aldo Nova cassette. He's like, dude, you got to listen. This is awesome, while we washed cars. And fantastic. Like, had helicopter sounds and stuff. And then What's on Your Mind? Pure Energy by Information Society. That was, I think it's technically a one-hit wonder, though I think I had several of their albums ultimately had a lot of good stuff. Those are my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Along with everything else.
Ever. I know.
I was going to say, there's really, I threw 5 down here, a couple honorable mentions.
Yeah, shoot me 1 or 2 honorable mentions
top
to
3.
kick it off.
I'm going to go with, I mean, this would be on everybody's list if we were just being the most obvious ones. You got to go with Take On Me by Aha.
Okay.
I mean, and it's still, you can remember every beat of that video.
Other than the fact that I have almost every Aha album and know every song on that album, so it's hard for me to think of it as a one-hit
So
wonder.
you're the one, huh?
Yeah.
You're that guy.
Oh no, there's plenty of young.
Yeah, but they all live in the
screaming
Netherlands.
girls.
These,
yeah.
And everything that I'm putting on the list is just songs that are favorites for me.
Yeah.
Second honorable mention.
You have to follow my rules.
No. Second honorable mention, Angel Eyes by the Jeff Healey Band.
Oh, it's
yeah.
going from-
It's good stuff.
Roadhouse, right?
Love that.
Yeah.
And there is the Roadhouse connection. Yep.
So I had it, so like I said, most of my music experience is tied into movies. So I had to throw one movie song on there.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw Don't You Forget About Me from Simple Minds.
Oh, that's
Honorable mentions to tie something to a movie.
such a good song.
But I'm going to go, like I said, I always wanted to play saxophone when I was younger. So any song with like a good sax riff in it, I'm down. So I'm doing Harden My Heart by Quarterflash.
Very nice.
Love that song.
That's
I
one of the
love
few
that song.
songs with a ripping lead sax.
Yeah.
As one of the main
the white
motifs.
plays the sax and she sings also.
Yeah,
so it's
that's
like,
so good.
yeah, that's a real good song. So yes, that's a couple honorable mentions. Let's try to,
one of the tracks off of the album I recorded in high school, in college, ends with a really nice sax solo.
Ooh.
Yeah. Not mine.
Not beat some good sax.
All right, so those honorable mentions are good primers.
Yeah, primers.
My number 3 one-hit wonder, Electric Avenue by Eddie Grant.
Good.
Right, combination of slightly different song than a lot of pop songs. A little bit of Caribbean flair to it, but also just fantastic synth sounds
singing
in
it
it.
in my head.
Yeah, I am.
man.
Yeah, so Electric Avenue.
That's a good one.
Excellent pull. Number 3, I'm going to go Jermaine Stewart. We don't have to take our clothes off to have a good time.
That's excellent. That's good.
What the hell is cherry wine? I've never seen that for my life. That's off the.
I got it.
path.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
that one.
Oh, I try to go
Nice.
random on some of them.
Okay, see if I can keep going with off the beat path. So I'm going Voices Carried by Till Tuesday.
Hell yes.
Yeah, that's another one like Aha for me. That
I know.
I love the band too much to
That
think of
one-
them that way. But you're right.
But especially for
But
my age,
again-
like they were. I mean,
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
you
you're
listen
right.
to a lot of the Till
Exactly.
Tuesday. That's
But yeah.
somebody you saw at the Paradise.
Yeah.
exactly. But they only had one good chart. I mean, she did after she went off on her. I mean, she's like probably one of the most underrated vocalists from that decade.
No,
Amy Mann's
Amy-
awesome.
Yeah, Amy
yeah.
Mann's
Yeah, but I'm saying like,
I saw her play live in Kenmore Square on the roof of the, was it Strawberry Records there or whatever?
there was
Yeah.
a Strawberry Records
Yeah.
in Kenmore.
So
yeah,
on the roof of the awning of that, she played before her solo album. Yeah.
that's
Sorry.
crazy.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
Voices Carry. Yeah.
Good tune. Very good tune.
Oh, I love that whole album, man.
I have the whole album.
I just
Yeah.
There are some good songs. I
had it on my cassette pictures.
yeah.
yes.
So that's your number
That's number 3. Yep.
All right. So number 2 for me, this is tough because I almost want to make it number 1, but Major Tom by Peter Schilling.
Oh.
Bum, 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 bum. And then the big choir, Earth Below Us, with just that song. It is so 80s, and it's definitely a one-hit wonder, but love it.
Nice.
Excellent. My number 2, I'm going with It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Roll. It's one of those,
That's a good one.
it's an earworm that you just can't get rid of.
It's stuck
And
in
to
my
this
head
day,
right now.
My wife, who does not sing in the car, will bust out the second that comes on.
I don't think there was a party in college that I DJ'd that I didn't play that song.
No, it was a constant loop.
I was not expecting Chris to get so funky.
Yeah,
Just didn't see it.
but it counts. Good stuff.
So my number 2 has already been talked about, but it's "Take on Me."
Oh yeah.
I mean, it might be not just one of my favorite one-hit wonders, probably one of my favorite songs from the decade. I love that song so much. And then anytime it's covered too, like Real Big Fish did a cover of it.
Oh yeah,
for the movie Basketball. That's really good. It's actually on my gym playlist. And
nice.
I can't argue with that at all. That's one.
Yeah, great tune.
So
video notwithstanding, just the song itself.
Question for you guys, since that's clearly a song whose much of its popularity is keyed on that video.
Yes.
Right? That video.
Yeah. That was my gateway into it.
But if the video isn't there, what happens to that song? And if that song doesn't hit, what does pop culture lose? Yeah. No, the band is fine, but what do we lose? Because that video set some tones and expectations and possibilities.
It did. So they probably, I think if the video doesn't exist, they probably don't make as much money because the video doesn't get played as many times.
Well, that's true.
But if it's like your standard, like, that song still hooks in because Chris just mentioned earworms. That thing gets stuck in your head and never goes away. It's been in my freaking head for 30 years.
You wouldn't have heard it as much if it hadn't. That video was
once. That song, all it takes is once.
It's funny. Yeah. So in my Jeep, you can program the Sirius for favorite bands, things like that. Yeah. So it'll tell me if Metallica's coming on. Aha is one of them. Because the only song they're going to play on Sirius is that. Yep. Just so I can jump immediately to 80s on 8 or wherever it happens to be playing.
They had The Sun Always Shines on TV. And
they just all we were talking about, they just all got back together and did like an acoustic set. It was online.
That's awesome. I love that.
And they got me. I was like, these guys, I mean, the dude from Aha, like, I guess they were still very popular over in Europe all this time.
Yeah.
That
like Hasselhoff?
No.
No, Hasselhoff was very, I mean, we're talking like all of like Western Europe, but that dude had some pipes. He could
yeah, I know. He
was a great
and he's beautiful. Right. I mean, just come on.
He is, yeah. He was a Helmsworth before the Helmsworth or Helmsworth.
Well, no. He's not a Helmsworth.
He's like a step over.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like Elfin and tiny. He's not.
He's a Helmsworth cousin Oliver.
Yeah. He's
Oliver Helmsworth.
All right. So my number one hit wonder, and I had to actually go look it up. I'd always thought it was one artist. It was actually, so it's a song called Wouldn't It Be Good, which was on the Pretty in Pink soundtrack. I'd always thought it was by Nick Kershaw. It actually is by Nick Kershaw, but the version that I heard was by Danny Hutton Hitters. Danny Hutton was one of the lead singers of Three Dog Night, and he covered the song, and that cover is what's on the Pretty Pink soundtrack. Except when I listen to the Nick Kershaw song, it sounds the same. So I clearly need to go back and research. But that song, the reason I pick it is clearly a one-hit wonder. But it's got synths. It's got. You guys might not even remember it. So listen to it. It's just such a fantastic 80s anthem.
Nice.
Excellent. Very good.
It belongs in Breakfast Club or, it
would fit well in one of those. Yeah.
Oh, well, it was a John Hughes movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
close enough. You could swap
a
lot of those. My number one, I'm going with Too Shy by Kajagoogoo.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
That's just the quintessential 80s anthem.
Did they? I'm sure they had other songs.
I can't tell you
one. They did not. So remember, after that, one guy left. They kicked one guy out, and it became just Kaja.
Oh.
And then the one dude
morphed, and then
the guy that left Kajagoogoo ended up doing, I think, the Never Ending Story theme song.
That's what I was going to say. Lamal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Not bad for a young kid, right?
Yeah.
Look at that.
I had him at Kajagoogoo
because it was tied to a movie.
Yeah. Good pick.
Thank you, VH1 pop-up video.
I missed that.
All right. How about you, DJ? Number one.
So my number one's actually funny because it was probably my favorite before, but this song, especially up here in our area, has kind of taken on a life of its own the last couple of years.
Okay.
It's Your Love by The Outfield.
Oh,
love the song. The song is the jam, but our local sports radio station, one of the co-hosts is Scott Zolak. He's played quarterback for the Patriots.
Yeah.
He was a madman. He's a maniac. He likes all this 80s rock and stuff too.
Okay.
They started using it as their lead-in for the 12 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he didn't know the name of it. He just calls it Josie. That's the name he calls the song. And now, they'll play it at the Patriots games and stuff like that. It's like one of the Patriots theme songs now.
It's kind of like the Patriots version of like Geno time for the Celtics.
Yeah, exactly.
It comes on when the game's out of reach.
So So you picking that as your number one song, that was also one where I thought about it because it might be, I don't know, it's definitely one of my favorite songs. But that album, Play Deep, is one of my favorite 80s albums,
Really?
period.
No kidding.
For
Intriguing.
a few different things. So the whole album, front to back, fantastic. Highly, highly recommended. But the reason it had such an impact on me is because my very first car, which was from my stepdad, and I think it had been his car, a 1974 Audi Fox, that album got stuck in its cassette player. So this was the car I drove back and forth to my summer job, working at Marine World Africa USA in Vallejo, California. And
Shameless plug.
and so I listened. Now they're at Six Flags now, not quite as cool. But I listened to that album and only that album.
You didn't have a choice but to love this
Driving
album.
to and from high school, driving to and from my summer job, and I'm just glad I love it. It's so good. Listen to all of it, DJ.
Yeah, no, I have the whole thing. I do, but like I said, Year Love ended up going on all like cookout playlists and everything. It's one of the songs. It's just everyone likes it. It's the jam. Such a good song.
Yeah.
So
I'm rechecking to see if that was actually on my cassette tape deck here, and it's not because the damn tape was stuck in my in a junkyard somewhere in Northern California.
So we're gonna recap our top threes. Sean, if you could just recap yours real quick,
Sure. I had Electric Avenue by Eddie Grant, Major Tom by Peter Schilling, and Wouldn't It Be Good, originally by Nick Kershaw, performed by Danny Hutton Hitters.
please, from Pretty in Pink. Chris?
He could totally be a DJ, by the way. Just
He
a
could.
little aside.
Yes.
I had a radio show for a while.
He's
and I
got
was
that
an
voice
announcer.
going.
He's got the radio voice.
He's like a letter-day Shadow Stevens.
He's got the radio voice. I have the radio face.
I think Chris has a radio voice.
No, I don't think I do. But thank you. I appreciate it. My number 3, We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off by Jermaine Stewart.
Still can't fucking believe that was on there.
That's right. Number 2, It Takes Two by Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock.
Such a good. Yeah.
And at number 1, Too Shy by Kaja Gugu.
It's so good. I went number 3, Voices Carry by Till Tuesday and Amy Mann. Number 2 is Take On Me by Aha. And number 1 is Your Love by The Outfield.
I love our lists. I love the fact that each of you picked 3 that could not be further from one-hit wonders for me. Like that's how much I love those songs. Is I know all the band's other work.
And what you can do with like 80s albums and bands and instruments, I can do with like cartoon characters. And
Oh yeah,
it's great.
yeah. No,
it's great.
it feels familiar.
So this is fun. So we tackled some movies, then we did some music. We'll have to maybe keep the thing going. Maybe dip into some more movies, do some TV or something. We'll figure something out. So thank you everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, I was just saying, any suggestions for
80s TV.
bullshit topics we can wade through, send them along.
Yeah, we need to get to December so we can go watch Aquaman. We'll talk about Aquaman for 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
until then, you can hit us up on Twitter at FMen37. Sean's at Vacaboca. I'm at Deidrenaut. Chris is at ChrisDavis_37. Check us out on Facebook. Subscribe on iTunes and Google Play and SoundCloud. Leave us reviews, comments, whatever. You want to send us an email? We're at fanmenpodcast@gmail.com. Please don't put us on any weird mailing lists.
Nice. Now you planted that idea out there.
Yeah,
DJ.
no shit. I'm just going to cut that part out. So thank you everyone for tuning in and see you next time.
Later, guys.
Later.